All right, I put the stream up. It's on the pre-stream window. I guess we can start moving down into the recording room. Das ist good. All right. Yeah, you guys know all the rules. I don't need to blabber on about that. Merdad, you ready to go? Should I start the intro video? Whatever.
I was an explorer. All my life I had traveled around the galaxy. One day, I found a filament that opened up a portal to somewhere new. I found magnificent creatures. I traveled through clouds of fire and storm, searching for a way back home. I found portals that led me deeper and deeper into the fabric of the universe. The portals were like false beacons in a stormy weather, navigating me deeper into danger. Great spires of rock and ice rose from the depths, haunting me as I traveled onward. The barren beauty of the universe drove me to the edge of despair. As I was traversing the depths, I became even more aware that there was no way out. Gate after gate I entered deeper, losing all sense of time and space. These are my final words. I was an explorer, lost in the abyss.
Merdad, I have pressed the proper buttons.
Check sound, check sound.
Sound has been checked. Oh, Jaha, I've got your face covering all of our names. I gotta move that.
Oh no.
Are you saying that Jaha has a big head?
I have a pin. I actually look like my passport photo looks like my head was shrunk.
It had to be a panoramic view. Yeah, looks like audio's good. Buttons are pressed. So, Merdad, would you like to do the honors?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mind Clash Podcast. Episode, what are we on, 88 nowadays?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
12 more till I retire. I mean, nothing going on. We are joined by all of the CSM candidates we can squeeze into one room without them killing each other. And thank you all
The
for
night
coming
is still
tonight.
young.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
1v1v1 times 8 at the sun.
God damn it, Stuffs. Vote Clavin for gay man. Isn't that the truth?
Yo.
Yeah. All right, let's start at the top of our list. Kale, how you doing?
As soon as I get my window to set moving. I'm doing good. Been a busy week. Made a lot of beer this past weekend, so I've been wearing one of my brew shirts, but I'm also drinking this. I'm sure everyone's going to say what they're drinking, but I'm drinking this very hazy honey lager. If you can see the things floating around there, it's got a lot of protein haze in there, but it's good.
Yeasty.
Very nice. I'm drinking a blueberry sour. It's quite delicious from a local brewery near me. Delicious.
I'm drinking a local stout.
Ooh, I love stouties.
All right. Next down, we got Jaha. Who you are, who do you fly with, and I guess you should say if you're a CSM.
Yeah, I'm Jaha Praynar. I'm with Eve University. I'm CSM candidate. So
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us, Carbon.
Hi, I'm Carbonella Bell. I fly with CBA in Providence, and I'm mainly a third-party developer in Eve, and I'm running for CSM.
Is CBA still considered to be in Providence?
Yeah, we're actually properly back in Providence now.
Beautiful. Clavian?
Yeah, hey, it's Clavian. I think I've been here a couple of times. I currently have a extra stout in my hands, really dark black lager type beer, but it's a stout and it's awesome.
Oh man.
Dark black like your heart.
Oh, you betcha. I currently fly with a new corporation that just formed, the Dong Hammer Industries. We operate out of Wormhole Space. It's mostly just a bunch of the old no-sov, rejection of sovereignty guys.
One day you guys will figure out something about wormholes.
So-
Dunk.
I am Dunk Tinkle, and I am not running for CSM, but I am drinking a Guinness.
Valid.
Oh, and you're
Counts. Vote for Guinness.
not? I'm going to vote for Dunk anyways.
Guinness, also a dark extra stout.
Oh, so good too. Razor.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Riz. I'm also running for CSM, and unfortunately, I'm not drinking beer at this moment. I'm full on the coffee.
At 4 a.m., it's okay. You can drink straight coffee. It's all good.
Exactly.
And last but not least, the judge.
The judge, currently a CSM, running for another term.
Who do you fly with nowadays?
Goonswarm.
Goonies.
You survived the ESI purge?
I did not survive the ESI purge,
Buzz said
but I
B.
rejoined.
So many people got hit by that. Jeez.
Yeah, the argument of we pinged it out a bunch of times doesn't help when you don't have Pigeon open at the moment that they ping it. So
Wait, you guys use Pigeon? Wow.
That's very
Yeah.
retro.
Yeah, super.
At least it's not IRC.
Yeah. Yeah,
Come on,
so...
Kelly. You got to join an Imperium ally for at least a
No.
little while.
It'll never happen. But in any case, so we've got a lot of CSM people here, and it's going to be a very fun show, very packed, very crowded. But we should cover the news because some important things happened today, Merdad. Some very important things.
Yeah, it's nice of them to drop news on Mondays.
I know, hashtag love. I don't know if you haven't paid attention, if you haven't looked on the CCP Games Twitter account, they had posted earlier today. They deleted it, but then reposted it about an hour later, I believe, that they would be partnering up with another game company and developing it says a new MMO, but it was an EVE Online experience in the iOS device realm. But they'd also be developing it with AR, which is augmented reality. So a lot of tidbits, but not a whole lot of info.
Okay, imagine I worked all day and I missed the news. Like, what is this? Like, are we?
They're
Right.
probably transferring their VR assets over, right? Because
Yeah.
they canceled that other project they were working on.
So the direct tweet was, we're thrilled to reveal hashtag Project Galaxy, a new mobile hashtag MMO game co-developed by NetEase Official. This is Project Galaxy, will bring the authentic EVE Online experience to iOS devices first in 2019 with support for Apple's revolutionary ARKit 2.0, which will be, or was announced at Developers Conference 2018. So, interesting.
I love you, CCP, but I'm never going to buy an iPhone.
No.
Yeah,
yeah.
agreed. It's all about OnePlus.
Sounds like we're getting the Eve version of Pokemon Go then.
Curiouser and
Do I get to
curiouser.
throw like capsules at ships and catch them?
Collect them all.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a lot of
Play-
confusion. There was a lot of confusion on the that post itself, and then the Eve Reddit picked it up, and a lot of people were like, "Oh no, we already knew about that. That happened at Eve Vegas last year," but people weren't picking up that that was Project Aurora, which is currently being developed by another company, and is available for Android. So, and that one also has a name called War of Ascension. So now we have two apps running simultaneously for both worlds, universes of phones.
Yeah, the one worrying thing for me in this announcement is NetEase definitely do not have a good reputation. So I guess we'll have to see what kind of work they end up doing. They're sort of known for doing really bad ports of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing really of note that I saw that they did was specifically in their Asian market, they ported Minecraft. But other than that, I've never heard of any of those games. So I mean, we can speculate all day. I don't know. One of my thoughts is that the way they worded that was it'll be the Eve Online experience, but mobile. So I'm kind of led to believe, like, how they're doing about our Fortnite and Battle Royale games and PUBG, and now on mobile, which is simultaneous of the PC version. Is that what we're going to be looking at?
Microtransactions?
Oh God.
It's quite possible.
It's I would say all but certain that's the only reason people develop those apps now.
I mean, we've already got the whole microtransaction market taking place in EVE Online. There's no reason they wouldn't implement that on a mobile platform. The difference is the EVE Online microtransactions are not necessarily pay to win.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's pay to play more stuffs. But yeah,
I guess they got a lot of things on the go. Like I know they CCPs actually has a nice percentage of their shares up for sale right now, which is excellent because it means they're looking for capital to do stuff. So maybe they're branching out.
Yeah, I mean, from a business standpoint, this is a very smart decision for them to make, to try and diversify, to try and get more, different markets, or to reach out into different markets and get, some different platforms going. They can have different revenue streams. But
yeah, I agree.
So far they've been really bad at actually succeeding at those things.
Well, that and dumping all their capital, like available capital, into projects that aren't necessarily 100% thought through, which puts them, like it's fine not to go into the red, but if you spend all your gains, then it's like running on a treadmill.
Yeah, I think for how cool Eve Valkyrie was and Gunjack was, I think we can all agree that as far as making money, it was an incredibly poor decision on CCP's part. But yeah, I don't know. Hilmar's a big fan of the mobile scene at the moment. He sees a lot of profit there. Adapting Eve's IP for it is just the next step. So,
well, I mean, to be fair, he also said that about VR.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of redacted.
I don't disagree with that, though. I think he just jumped the gun. Like I don't disagree that that's something, and I appreciate that they were taking a head in that kind of development, but I just think it was maybe too early for a smaller company. Like CCP is relatively small compared to other developers in that realm.
Yeah. Plus, VR isn't quite developed to the point where it needs to be to host a large-scale MMO like EVE Online or something similar to it.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it's one of those where CCP doesn't really know what to do aside from EVE Online, and so they were trying to do that, and they just couldn't figure it out. I would like to see them try to branch into completely different areas of, like, the tech realm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to go with the successful MMO games and look at developing some VR stuff that can be used on more of an industrial scale or that sort of thing. Corporate training models. So many corporations are moving to training models with VR.
Sure, and their assets. I mean, because they had launched Valkyrie and other projects. I mean, that's telling me that their assets were developed far enough that they should be able to laterally move them into other things. I don't see why that's not plausible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as far as gamers are concerned, that VR is still enthusiast grade hardware, and it will be for a decent amount of time. So you're looking at $500 plus a PC to pick it up, and that's just a lot for anyone to dump into for, you know, one game or even 10 games, really.
I suppose
Yeah.
I've seen the dollar value people dump into Eve. You never know.
This is true.
But it's gradual though. Like,
Yeah.
don't want to think about how much money I've spent on Eve.
No, please, God, no.
Yeah, but the Eve investments usually starts off small, where you're like, oh, okay, I can do the 15 or the $20 or whatever. I can do the free account, and then I could sign up later, and then it just gets more and more and more.
You know what though? Your savings is great. I've been paying for my account a year at a time for years now. Like you just save money that way. It's better.
Can you talk to my wife about that?
You just do the simple math. You're saving like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna play anyway. Like really, are you really like, I don't know if I'm gonna play in a year. If you've been playing for more than 5, guaranteed you'll be playing in a year.
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
I've invested enough time. I can't stop playing. I mean, if I did, I'd just be like, what have I done with my life? Like,
Yeah, I thought about the same thing. Like, I could just stop right now. I could stop this drug right now, but I'm hooked.
anytime I could stop when I want.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first step to knowing you have a problem is admitting you have a problem.
So, not only do we have that fun, interesting news, but as we all know, tomorrow, June 5th, is the Conquerable Station. So if you have a Conquerable Station, it's going to be transferred over to the Special Faction Citadel. I haven't seen a whole lot of action going on. I've seen more of inaction. I know something around 20, what they gave the numbers, like 23 or so have actually been ready to be transferred over, right? Is that what I saw? Maybe I'm just pulling that out of my butt.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't gone and set their timers. You can actually preset the timer now. So when they do switch over to the faction citadels, they'll come out if they're reinforced when you want them to. A lot of people haven't done that. So when all of this switches over, they're going to set to the default timer.
Didn't yesterday or the day before he said a ridiculous number of people hadn't put their timers, like 80% or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said like 35% had.
Wow.
It was like 44 of 138 or something.
I hate station mechanics.
So now what's going to happen with those that are just sitting all willy-nilly out there?
They'll just default. Everyone will know when to attack them.
Yeah, but it's still going to be owned by whoever currently owns it?
Correct. It'll just come out at all at the same time. And if you're a, say, US West time zone alliance and it comes out in Euro Prime, well, good luck defending it. For those who are interested, go ahead.
I was just wondering if I thought we had somebody here from CVA. I was wondering if Pravi had finally been able to reclaim most of those stations.
I can't help but laugh. Yes, Legacy is protecting those stations for Provi by putting them into their own alliance and taking them for themselves.
I got the Provi station's final score here, right? Straight off Dotland. It's looking like a Legacy Coalition win here. We got Requiem Internal with 20 stations, Evictus with 14, Brave with 9, Tappy with 8, Angst with 5, Tickle with 4, Dangerous Voltage with 3, the Watchman with 2, Warped Intentions with 2, and 1 that's still being contested.
That's interesting.
And how many are CVA or APOC or any of those other groups? None?
That's 0.
That was all the stations.
But the systems are all Revetta, Regnum, and APOC, and COG, and CVA.
Nobody cares about Saab anymore, let me tell you.
Nope. And it's
Especially
all
in
Citadel
Provi.
warfare.
Has CCP clarified what will happen like tomorrow afternoon when nobody cares about the stations anymore and they're untethered from that third reinforcement timer?
Well, we're about to find out.
Like, is that third circle still going to be available on the Saab window?
No, it's just gone. Disappears.
Okay.
Just 2 circles.
Great. Well, then we're half a step further away from just having a single circle there. Freaking make TCUs pointless again.
that's the goal. Merge TCUs and iHubs and be done with all of that.
Speaking of changes, I thought for a while they would get rid of those Tosis links because there's no longer that weird capture the flag mechanic, I don't think. But they haven't got rid of it. I don't know what they're going to do with it now. Something maybe.
I thought it worked as intended.
There
It's
is
awkward.
still the capture the flag mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nodes were reduced in spawn. Well, they were increased in spawn rate and reduced in number of spawns, so that it's a little easier to actually capture solve.
And there's no 250 km T2 Entosis link, and you can repair the Entosiser.
And there's a few weird factions ones. I don't know if I really enjoyed that. It's totally off topic, I'm sure. That scavenger hunting they had where you had to entosis a whole bunch of random stuff to get random stuff. It was really fun. I wish they would do more stuff like that. It was cool.
I mean, CCP's and leaving breadcrumbs at FanFests and Vegas's that there's content out there like that we just haven't found.
I love it. For the OCD and all of us, it's super fun.
Yeah, there's apparently unsolved little pieces of lore and player stuff that we just haven't found.
Yeah, I'm a lore junkie for sure.
I don't think anyone ever figured out that Children of Light thing, did they?
Nah.
Very interesting. We might have to do an episode on this.
No.
You did an episode on the fact that in Talkie Space there's a planet of space nudist cannibals. Figure that one out.
What? Let me land on that.
Nice. Very nice.
I don't know if I want to see that. I don't know if I want to see that much about my food before I eat.
No, not at all. So yeah, so that's gonna happen tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting. So Jaha, you're here. You weren't here last week, but we talked a little bit about Eve University and some incidents that may or may not have been going on. I had a call to action for players to go help intervene where Eve University Unistas were being demoralized and oppressed by the man known as Pinecone / the conifers of conifers something or other.
Yeah, the United Federation of Conifers or
Right.
Pinecones, yeah.
Right. So after that episode aired, I don't even think it was within 24 hours. Somebody from Conifers actually messaged me in game and was like, "Hey, this is not correct," and he gave me his recount of the situation and made it seem like, from somebody who's not there, clearly, that they were trying to do you guys a favor by relinquishing some Pocos, so that way you could then have a 0% Poco situation, and then taking the Citadels off your hand. Like
But
I said,
we've had 0% from CFT for a Coon's Age. Ever since we were down there, we have a very lovely agreement with them, and they've been that way for ever and ever and ever. That's just it. Period. I know that they've tried to take over some of those CFTs left from the area, but yeah, we have a good Nocturnal Romance as well. Like, we have a great relationship with them, and it's never been charged down there. And the amount of attrition of students down there, because it's sort of the final end. Like, if you don't go to Wormhole, a lot of the people in uni will graduate up to Nullsec campuses. That's your first sort of adventure into the real nitty gritty of the game. But with the amount of and so people have started to buy, there's moon mining is very popular, having Citadels and stuff down there because it's easier to have your stuff there. But with the amount of attrition we've had lately, because that's a really hard thing for new people when you're trying a new part of the game and it fails epically. When we have people retreat back to mining areas and stuff, and our population down there in the last 2 months has dropped by, I would say, 60 to 75% as a result. So I mean, there's two sides to every story, but I don't know, when people are out in 2 Vexors and something else, and all of a sudden they drop 2 capitals on it, that's the primary problem. But
yeah. So like I said last week, like I said today, there's 2 sides to every story. So go out there and check out what you want to know, and if you're living in the area, you probably know better than I do. But help who you think needs help. I like the Unistas. I was a Unista myself, so I'm quite fond of you guys.
I like guys blowing us up. It gives them experience. They need people blowing them up. But people like 404, You know, Caveman, they give great fights, and afterwards they'll
Mhm.
often say, "Hey, this is what you did wrong. This is how I can help." That's helpful.
I mean, in defense of dropping capitals on newbie ships, I mean, that is Eve in some places. No.
I agreed. I agreed. You know, I'm not going to poo-poo it. They can do what they like. It's their game, and they're allowed to play how they want. It would just be nice if they, you know, well, whatever. They don't have to be nice.
That is right, but it would be nice to be nice, isn't it? Isn't that what we're all about? Let's all just be nice to each other. Jesus Christ.
Aren't nice players in Eve just leading a scam?
Probably.
Totally. Spy.
Yeah. So last week the Into the Abyss patch came. I was actually surprised. We did a little vote on, or a little poll on how long we thought it would be down for, but it actually was a pretty rather quick downtime. There wasn't any hiccups, as far as I know. It seemed to be ran pretty smooth, and people immediately started, running into it, and a lot of reviews, a lot of YouTube videos were put up, Twitch streams. The Abyssal sites are the rage, as one might say.
The Abyss is like the best thing Eve could have done to have a ISK sync.
Mm-hmm. So what's everyone's feels over the past week of how that's been going?
My wallet hurts.
My butt hurts.
Wow, too much sitting.
I've been enjoying it. I've gotten a decent number of low tier sites in. I did struggle on the first day to get some drops of traces, but by day 2, it seems like they fixed the drop mechanic from data sites. So I was in there and grinding away in my Ishtar. A lot of the low level sites don't seem all that challenging, so I'm excited to get some of the higher level tiered threads. So far, I've only got a Firestorm, and my shield fits won't do very well in there, so I've avoided that one. But
Yeah, I have not had a whole lot of time to be able to invest into that, so I don't want to jump right into that yet myself. But I have been doing some planetary interaction. But I do want to apologize. I've got allergies right now, so I'm not like fiending for Coke. Like I know I keep itching my nose. Like I'm not trying to signal anything. It just my nose itches.
Adderall, my friend. Adderall is good for you.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, anybody else want to talk about the Abyss sites before I rant regarding the planetary interaction update?
I can totally be a contrarian on this one. Like as a CSM, I was staunchly against some of the mechanics within it. I think the sites are cool in themselves. I don't like that they're removed. They're removed from the sandbox. You create a site and it actually takes you to another system, a personal system that no one else can enter. The other thing I don't like is Diablo 3 random rolling mechanics. So I don't think I'll ever be fully behind Abyssal Dead Space just because of that. But that being said, I've run a shitload of them on Sissy, and I've run a lot of them on TQ. So at least I know what the mechanics are.
It looks like in chat, whoever the MJ11JM, he said he's already lost 2 to 4 billion to these sites.
Yeah, MJ is also
Wow.
really bad at Eve.
Clearly,
So,
stop playing, my friend.
Oh, I lost over 5 mil
Wow.
in like 1 day.
Like
Guys, come on.
what is your how much did you get back?
Well,
Is it just gone? That's it.
Well, no, I think people are buying the very expensive modules, the Officer, Dead Space stuff, and then they're rolling the dice on those, and then when they go poorly, then they're out the money because it's a useless module.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I don't know if that's
just
gonna.
die in. I just die in Abyssal Space because you get a bad spawn.
I don't know that putting bleeding modules is going to be advantageous at this point. There's not enough data to show what is yet effective. So I think that's just I don't know, silly maneuver. I mean, fine, if you got the money and you got the modules, go for it. But I don't think it's necessary at this point.
yeah, it's going to take time for people to figure out what all the stats are for the specific types of filaments. They're all a little bit different. So once people start figuring that out or data mining it, I think there'll be a bit of a change in how people act. At the moment, I'm seeing a lot of people rolling T2 modules just to see if they can get something better. And about 80% of the time, they're getting something worse.
We need to see those spreadsheets.
Yeah, definitely seen some interesting mods come out of this. A lot of people are sharing those images, and it's interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting
Jim
stats.
Chinchilla is really good at you know, making an officer module a brick.
Can confirm.
I love Officer modules. I have like a 800 million as Confessor. I love it.
Oof.
I mean, I made a full Abyssal Fit Balgorn, and every single newt is better than Officer newting power.
Balgorns
so
are
I'm happy.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I mean, Judge, I don't know if you see that there's potential in these sites to say have an abyssal site that goes too deep, and then there's an off gate that you could take, and that off gate could drop you into another person's site, for example.
I like that idea.
I mean, it's good in theory, but they've just not been willing to take that step. I don't think. I think it's just development time. They had a deadline to hit on this, and there was a lot of things that would be really nice to have. And now that people like it, I'm sure that this will get a little more dev time to bring sort of a second version. But opening the door to sort of removing people from the sandbox, which is Eve. I mean, the whole reason we play is because Eve is a sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like opening that door and showing the strategy team and the higher ups within CCP that, you know, removing people from the sandbox is profitable. Let's do this more. I think that's a really dangerous thing.
You know, what's funny is the weeks and weeks leading up to this, we were so worried about RNG, and you're gonna have all these OP modules, and people are gonna be making all kinds of money, and here we are, we're talking about losing 5 billion in the span of a week that it's been out. So
kudos to them though for doing a tempered release. Like if they're going to develop other iterations of it, that's far better than the past where they just dump a project and go, okay, this is it, full blown. Here's 100% how we're going to do it, and they can't backpedal. I mean, doing it incrementally or testing it in a more limited fashion or a more conservative fashion, I think is a good move on their part. It's certainly something that they've obviously learned from the past and things that they failed with. So I kudos to them for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a more full patch package than we've seen for like a new piece of content outside of the structure content.
Yeah, it's a full. It's an expansion. It's not just an add-on or something a little extra here and there. It's a full-on pass.
I wish I had a graph a while back of like all the Eve expansions and how it affected like player join rates and like the other like nitty-gritty of the game. I wish I could find where I'd put it.
Yeah, this is obscure and obviously not linked to any of the new player experience, but this would be really good content for like the T1s, T2s, for alphas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you think this is pretty alphalable? Is that a word? Alphalable?
I think for now, yeah.
I like it. I invented that shit. But yeah,
this is alphabet. The first two tiers are definitely able to be done by alphas. That was their design, at least. But going 3 and up, good luck.
Considering though, remember the new player. Okay, all of us have been playing for a long time. Remember the new player experience where they're like, "Here's a ship, now go!" Like you couldn't even restart the tutorial. Imagine trying to run these new sites with that being your new player experience as we all had it, as compared to now the new player experience that they've had for the last year or two. So that's a good reflection on how successful that was.
Does the new player experience force you to do data sites at any point?
No, and still data sites are still sort of something that you're like, what am I doing? But it's if you did the data sites before, then you find the new way better. But it's going from a like brand new player to doing them, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. So,
well, no, because the career agents actually do a pretty good job with explaining data and relic site hacking and how those work.
So
yeah, I mean, they do now. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
One of the questions I have then, so say you're an alpha player and you just heard about this game over the past week because of this, and you did the new player experience, and you're like, how would you know about how to do the abyssal sites?
You wouldn't.
Besides asking somebody.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Based on the new player experience I was testing on CC, there's nothing there that would prepare you for it.
But none of us are prepared for it, though, right? Like,
well, I mean, most of us, I think, are prepared simply based on knowing some of the game mechanics, knowing how some of the ships work, knowing how resist profiles can limit the amount of damage your ship's going to take, how speed can work, like just having those concepts in your head prepares you for it. And that's something that doesn't really come across in the new player experience.
I guess. But that's just an experience thing. I don't think that's something that you're going to get anyway. Like I think that's something that you put under your belt as you play. There's not going to be any way to learn that. Like, you know, if somebody can tell you the basics of orbiting and how to do stuff, but you're not, you know, and all the other mechanics. But I mean, you know, or you all know Seamus Donahue. I mean, mechanics is such a huge part of the game. It's something you just have to learn as you learn. That's how it works.
Right. But what I'm getting at is most of us had those mechanics down to some degree. I mean, I don't think anybody in this channel, and I don't think a lot of the people that have been playing for more than 6 months could say that they didn't have a basic understanding of how to mitigate damage when going into an NPC site.
Fair.
Whereas a new player that's 6 days old is probably still going to go into one of these sites, even if he's got a couple of T2 tank modules, and just get blown away because it's not really explained.
Fair enough. But at that age, he's going to get blown away every half hour.
Oh yeah, he's going to get blown away regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, besides that, so that seems like it's pretty going well. But for me, I've been doing like one of my things is to do PI. I like to make robotics. I make about $1 billion a month on robotics. So planetary interaction, I'm not a fan of much of it. Anybody else done it besides me? Am I the only fucking loser?
What, planetary interaction?
Uh-huh.
I have a 500-page PDF on it. I still do tons, but I've had some of my planets going for years and years and years now, and I produce robotics as well because they're consistently good value because they're using MTUs and everything else. Question: do you do yours on a single planet, or do you?
Oh God, no.
Because you can do it on you can Plasma Planet and one other. Because I do it passively. I don't want to actively do PI.
Yeah.
It's mind numbing.
Yeah.
But passively, if you have 3 planets, you can make like a crap ton of money and not have to think about it.
Yeah, so if you do that passively on one planet, the output is a lot slower. But so I have all 6 planets running. I have 4 planets picking up the basic inputs, and then I have 1 planet doing the mechanical parts and consumer electronics, and then the final planet doing the actual robotics. So it's a process. I have to move things around to 3 different systems, but.
That's why you need to like rope an Ubro into just being your lackey and going to pick up that stuff for you.
Yeah. So, but have you actually seen the new planetary interaction setup?
Where did they do it? Because I haven't seen anything change in the last few days.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's much better now. I mean,
really?
Well, basically, in the past, if you didn't do the routing right, you didn't realize until just stuff didn't work.
Okay.
Now,
yes,
if you don't set up the routing right, then it flashes red and tells you like you don't have the output routed correctly, you don't have the inputs routed correctly, which is huge.
I feel like
you're setting up a Fankly planet.
But I feel it's straightforward. I mean, you take stuff. You
anything
move it
but straightforward. Come on.
But I mean, you pick up stuff. Maybe it's the way I think. But you pick up stuff, you move it to storage. The storage then goes to never want to have your production line empty.
All it takes is you set up your thing. You don't have one of the materials in your launch pad to feed into it, so you don't set up that route. Then later you stick that material in there, and if you forget to set up the route, then it just sits there and doesn't do anything. You have to realize there's no explicit sign that it's not processing. In the new system, when you give it a try, it's bright flashing red, like shit's fucked, yo. And so then you got to fix it.
Yeah, I guess just because I had I mean, that's what we did. Like when PI was first introduced, we went all out into it because we were just doing industry at that time to such a high degree. I guess I've been doing it a while, but it seemed pretty obvious for us. But
yeah, that I will agree with you guys. The fact that it does show you which routes are broken. But the visual aspect of it, you've got that planetary colonies window or the planetary production windows now, and it's just so massive that you actually have to scroll through it. I mean, you can't have it on, even with a large monitor and a high resolution, you can't have it on one side because it's just so massive. I kind of wish there was a way to collapse that portion, so it's not just like a bam, big fat ass icon of the planet. You know what I mean? I mean that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, they like the icons now. They're not as much wall of text stuff these days.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a change. And then all the mouse over stuff to me gets a little long, but it helps new players understand what the hell's going on. And you can see at a glance, like, oh, that's a factory planet, or oh, that's this, that's that.
Yeah. But I think there is a way to compact that so it's not you know, you don't have to scroll through it. You can still keep it on one viewable window there.
Kale, are you using your PI just to make money, or are you using it for the production?
Just the moolahs.
Just the moolahs, okay.
Yeah, just make the robotics and take it to Dodixie and sell it.
You guys are slackers. How do you think these structures get made? Got to make it all the way up to that P4.
Absolutely.
I shake Jita and structures fall out.
You're leaving ISK on the table when you do that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
I
my
lie.
thought.
I've never set up a POS, and I've never set up a structure, and I'm happier for it.
And structure mechanics.
It's fun. I set up a what's it called, the Athenor on the test server, and it was very interesting. Learning how to do every step. Like, okay, and I forgot I have to make sure this is activated on this account so that character can do this and that. And it's, oh shit, I got to put on this module, you know. So it's good to practice, some might say. Yeah. So
I prefer to take them down.
So that is my thoughts on PI. I have a lot more thoughts, and I want to share that with other people. So if you are interested in doing a planetary interaction roundtable, I would love to talk to you. Get on our Discord. I'll throw the link up here in a second, and get into our PI-roundtable discussion thread, and we can talk about it. And then we will actually try and do a real life comms on that. That's my soapbox.
Kale, I posted you a link for the Bible for PI.
Oh, where? Oh, I see it.
It's best to put it on a tablet or print it out, by the way.
Oh God, it's a zip file. What are we talking here?
Because it's massive.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely have to read that.
It's 500 pages. It's not a read.
I'm gonna have to digest it.
Yeah, that too.
So yeah, so just come find me on Discord. I want to talk to you about it, and we'll get rolling on that. But we have all these important people here, these important guests that do want to talk, and I'm going to drag in Commander Ace here in a minute because we are going to be talking about something that's near and dear to all these people's hearts, which is the Council of Stellar Management. All of you fine gentlemen, with the exception of one, God bless your soul, will be running for Council of Stellar Management, which the voting starts today. It's already started. It's already there. What have you done? Come on.
I've already voted.
Yep.
I wanted to re-listen to everybody's podcast. There's so many quality candidates now than in the past because of the reduced application period. I don't know. There's so many that I want to give consideration to.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I actually thought the same thing, and I went through myself and listened to some of the interviews on Talking in Stations. I want to say that there also was an interview on Declaration of War. I believe they had one.
And Rick's had one. Yeah.
Did he? I did not know that. I must have missed that. But yeah, so I went through and listened to them just so I can make sure that I can pick out all my 10. I will not say who my 10 were, but until the end of the show, because I don't want to make anybody feel sad. But it's an interesting list, I will tell you this. But yeah, so if you're unaware, the Council of Stellar Management number XII 13, the voting opened today. You need to log in if you have an Omega account. It doesn't matter how many you have. You can have 1 or 7. You can use one vote set per account. So if you got 10 accounts, you can make 100 votes, I guess. Is that how the math works?
Sure.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, sounds right.
Because
so,
every vote after that first spot is less than a full vote.
I mean, votes don't count anyway. So someone's rigged it. The judge can tell you, I'm sure.
That's an inside secret.
Does someone want to go over the single transferable vote for a second?
No.
I don't know what country you guys are in, but single transferable is done in a few places like Ireland, is it not?
Australia has it too.
Yep. In Canada, we've implemented that in some provincial elections now.
I mean, here in the States, it's all rigged, so...
You're first past the post, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, Russia paid for it anyways, so... Thank you, KX.
Fake news.
Yeah, the single transferable vote system basically works on the fact that there is a finite number of votes needed before a candidate is absolutely guaranteed to fill a seat. And so once that number of votes is reached for that candidate, any more votes going to that candidate are rerouted to the next one on your list that you have voted for at a slightly reduced effectiveness. So like 100% effective for your first place spot, and then like 90% or 80% or whatever for the second place spot. I forget how Eve specifically sets it up, but
It's interesting if you look at just like how voting works, like in the real world, that there are flaws to that system, but for Eve, that's an ideal way to do it.
Yeah.
right. And the votes, I mean, you get, you know, 10 voting slots per active Omega account. And so there are people out there with SP farms that have like 250 votes that they can just throw at whatever candidate they want.
Mm,
You don't sound convinced.
SP farms, boo.
This is true. It does happen. I'm not gonna say it does, but it does.
Yeah. Mm.
But I mean, that's basically how the single transferable vote system works, right? So when you go into the voting system on Eve and you see that you have 10 possible slots, it's not that you're casting 10, that you're casting one vote. And if that vote doesn't count, because it goes the opposite. If a candidate reaches the maximum amount of required votes to be guaranteed a seat, you know, they go in and all the other votes get rerouted. But if a candidate does not reach the number of votes needed to get a seat, then all of their votes are also rerouted, right? And so that's trying to make sure that everybody's vote actually counts. And they do a recounting of votes once they have a candidate confirmed into a seat, and they recount the votes and move all of the additional ones down.
Yeah, it goes through rounds, and each round there is the lowest voted candidate is eliminated, and then the votes are redistributed. So, you know, you could have 2,000 number 2 spots out there on ballots, but if you only had 50 number 1 spots, you're going to get knocked out on one of the first rounds. It's never going to trickle to you.
Right, and so there are people that I've heard complain about it because of that aspect. But at the same time, it's like, well, that's not. You have to understand how the votes count, and then when you look at your ballot, you know that, okay, well, I'm going to put my first place spot here, and if it's not him, I want this person. If it's not, that's how you have to look at it, instead of thinking, well, I can cast one vote for every single one of these people.
So is that in that case, is there an importance to how you rank your votes?
Yes, because it'll always go to the next one in line. So number 1 gets your full effective vote, and then number 2, and then number 3, and then number 4. So if you've got somebody you like and you throw them in as a number 4 and go, oh, well, they're on my ballot somewhere, you might actually be harming them rather than helping them by putting them in that spot. If you really want that person to be on the CSM, you should put them as number 1.
Interesting. I wish I could say. I might have to watch that video 7 more times because I'm still not fully grasping the concept. But it sounds neat. It sounds fun.
I love CCP's instructional.
How can you not grasp this concept?
I love CCP's instructional videos. They're about as helpful as IKEA videos.
Oh no, it wasn't CCP's. It was this one I think it had a little sad dinosaur on it, and I felt like I was the sad dinosaur who didn't just get it. But I'll watch it one more time.
CCP Logibro, rest in peace, made a really good one last year.
I'll have to check that out. Lee Blackwood says in chat, just put the pictures in the boxes and feel like you're important. I did. That's what I did. I dragged them over there. No particular order. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, just put them in the order that you're told to put in order, and everything will be fine.
There are 10 seats. Yeah, there are 10 open seats, and then there are 10 possible votes, or 10 possible little boxes you can drag a face into. I think you have to fill out 3 of them to cast a vote, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you have to put at least 3 people on your ballot to cast your vote.
Does that mean you would be better off if you had, like, say, 6 candidates you like, and the other 3 were sort of iffy on? Are you better just to put 6?
I mean, depending on who you're voting for, if you're voting for people that probably aren't going to get on, it's best that you put 10. Most likely, it's probably not going to go far past your third. So just be conscious of how you're voting rather than
Oh, because they're
where
waiting.
your
Yes,
vote's
of
gonna
course,
go.
that makes perfect sense.
So if you're returning to the game, the CSM Council used to be a lot larger, right?
Used to be 14.
Mhm.
And
now we just have 10,
during
right?
CSM 11, we had discussions with CCP, and it was, you know, it had nothing to do with budget, which is what some people thought. What it had to do with was 14 is a lot of people to have in a meeting room when you're flying all of the CSM out to every summit, and you sort of step on each other's toes a lot. Sometimes you have people that are just not very useful, that kind of thing. So 10 was decided as the better number to have as people in the room, and for this last term at least, it's worked pretty well.
You know, with regards to that, I mean, I've markedly noticed, and I'm assuming it's because of the reduced, because before there was like a month application period, and this year it was like 5 days. Like, there's no, I mean, some people I don't recognize, but there's few, if not very, very few, garbage candidates, people that just apply just to apply and do it. Like, it seems I'm having trouble picking people because, you know, 80% of them are people that if I look at them, they're reasonable candidates. Like, there's not just throwaway candidates. I think that's excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, after the second summit for CSM 12, so this last CSM, Guard came to us and said, "Look, this is what I'm planning to have as the layout for the election."
Mhm.
And I looked at it, and it was essentially the same as what last year's was. It was really long and drawn out, and it had like 3 weeks for voting, and the candidacy period to put in your application was like 3 weeks long. And I just linked in a screenshot where I'd colored in dates and like put the color as this is what this is, and everything was shortened down to a week for each.
That's
And
ideal.
I said to him, I had to explain to him why people don't want like this 2 or 3 months drawn out process, and he went, "Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea." So that's what we've got.
Well, better to
But
have
it's
40
definitely
people.
way better.
Well, better to have 40 people that are all worthwhile than having 100 where the same there's 40 worthwhile, but you've got 60 just ridiculous candidates. Like,
There was a couple of guys that got rejected this year. The funniest one, I think, was a guy that applied, and in his application, you know, he did it all correctly. He applied correctly. He gave in his passport information, but his reason for applying was, "I like filling out forms," and it's his pastime is to fill out forms. So he got rejected. But I think there was only like 5 or 6 rejected this year.
I mean, there's actually, you know, a candidate or two on the list right now that says the same thing. Like, I just thought I'd do this. What's up? And like, that's really it, you know. But Zenuria, or Creeper Agent, is that Zenuria? He put out on Reddit yesterday, so I don't know how many 24 hours, maybe a few more than that, have gone by right before the votes. He said 47 candidates were running for election. 29 candidates have made an official forum thread. 20 did at least one interview. 5 gave more than one interview, and 3 had at that point given an official campaign video. But I believe we've had a few more since then. But yeah, so interesting numbers there.
like the guy that his video was abducting somebody and taking them up in his garage.
Sullen's an amazing guy. Sullen actually was on CSM 11, and he's actually a really good CSM. So I hope.
I thought it was really it was creative and funny. That's the kind of thing you want, right?
Yeah, poor Manic. Sullen says I have to vote for him with 2 of my first place votes for each one of my accounts, just to let.
Do we have word if his abductee was rescued?
I don't know. Oh, you'll have to check on Manic. I don't know.
Oh boy. Scary thoughts. So yeah, so you know so voting started today. We understand how the voting works now, kind of. We have a bunch of candidates here. We've talked to some of you before. We've had other candidates on either the show or done a one-on-one type of interview type of deal. What is that god awful noise?
Sorry.
It's like, is that a cat being strangled? What's happening right now? Do I need to call 911?
I was trying to chew my microphone. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to, I guess, Merdud, do you think we should give these fine young men a few minutes to talk about why they want to be a member of the CSM?
Well, I just wanted to make sure we had comparisons to previous CSMs out of the way. Like, how many candidates do we have last year?
Oh, it was like 80 something.
No, I don't think it was that high. It was 59 from memory.
But
The year
wasn't
before
there
that was almost 70.
Okay, maybe it was the year before. I was thinking.
And approximately how many votes was the threshold last year?
Almost 1,200.
So are we expecting a lesser return this year with the smaller voting window? And
I think there's probably going to be a lower turnout. Part of that is because of the fact that it's only a week for voting, which I think is a good thing because anyone that actually cares is going to vote in that week. But the other, I guess, negative that you have from that is the political landscape is a bit shook up at the moment. And, normally you see null blocks putting a lot of votes forward. And when you've got, big groups like XIX, in the doghouse, you definitely see lower turnout from those blocks.
Yeah, mind you, that's open room for I noticed I a substantial notice for low sec people in there. There's representation from areas that maybe were, although there's not enough wormhole representation, but I think there's representation in ways that there wasn't before. It's not necessarily bad that Null is less enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it directly correlates with actually getting an elected candidate from that area of the game, though. At least that's not what it's proven in the past when there's been a shaken up bit of turnout.
Though involvement is never bad. I mean, and I encourage people, I've tried to encourage people to get involved in finding out what it is, regardless of who they like.
So last year we had 31,274 votes. Brisk is reporting 2,800. I'm just double checking as the threshold to get voted.
And last year was the first year that they actually did the 10 candidates, right?
Yes, last year was 10.
Okay.
So yeah, last year was 64 candidates, and the year before was 53. So yeah, it's a little bit down from those years. But CSM 9 only had 36 candidates. I think there was different passport requirements at the time, though.
Yeah.
The other difference is too, up until CSM 10, you had to give your real name. The election for CSM 11, you could start running under just your character name and only be known by your character name.
Yeah.
Why was that, do you think?
Because I think there was actually
Because
people who
somebody
had
complained.
to. Well, I think some people actually had to protect their identity based off of government jobs. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was people definitely like Aerith is a perfect example. He wouldn't have run if he had to give his real name because he enjoys his privacy. That's for a number of people. The issue of why it got changed was actually because people were being doxxed and having their real name used against them just for being on the CSM. So that's why it changed. But
we've had that happen in our own corp. We've had somebody was published. Somebody somehow got some of our director management's real names and addresses and was publishing in line. That was a little bit of a nightmare.
Wow. How long is the voting going this time around? How much time do we have?
1 week.
One week. Holy crap! I better publish this podcast tomorrow so people know.
Yeah. In years previous, most people voted on the first day and the last day of CSM elections, anyways.
You know, I have a question.
The first and second day, and the second to last and last day were the highest turnouts. In between that, the votes were like 10 a day or 15 a day or something crazy.
Judge, I have a question for you, just because you were on there before. It's come up. I've been talking to people, being new or otherwise, about the CSM. Do you feel that over the last few years, certainly I think so, but in your opinion, having been on the CSM, that the CSM is more productive, more effectual over the last while? Any new system in anything takes a while to get its stride going. Do you think that it's gotten to the point where it's largely effectual now, or is it just still a glorified focus group?
No, it definitely has a big impact. CSM 10 had a really low point. There was a number of members removed. There was a lot of leaking. There were people who were posting live from in meetings, on Slack and that kind of thing. CSM 11, we tried to turn that all around. Got lucky and got a lot of good candidates. And that sort of really shook things up. There were a lot of devs that were really wary of trusting anything to the CSM. They didn't really want to speak up. But, sort of 6 months in for CSM 11, that changed. And ever since then, it's just sort of gone from strength to strength.
So what would you like to see going forward? So going forward, what would you like to see from the CSM? Like, what do you think you guys, like, or you guys, but the CSM in general, like, what would you like to see them do going forward that hasn't been done?
Being more open is hard, but it's probably something that the community wants more than anything. It is hard though, because CCP are very careful on what they let slip, or would like to let slip to the community. Other than that, just sort of keeping up the good relations with developers. There's people who run or would like to be on the CSM that are very strong personalities or don't have much experience in a corporate environment. And those kinds of people will very quickly get devs offside. And in that situation, you're going to have the issue where developers don't want to come to the whole CSM. They're just going to come to select members.
Right.
Which sort of negates the purpose of the group.
Do you feel like the fact that, I mean, that there's a sort of consensus, I guess, among people who don't know much about the CSM, that because it's just a bunch of individuals with special interests, that doesn't really reflect what it's advertised that the CM is supposed to do? I mean, granted, you're never going to get rid of special interest. If you live somewhere in space, that's going to be your main focus. But there's sort of an attitude, at least from newer players that I have spoken with, that it's like, oh yeah, well, it's just this group of goons that has told people who to vote for, and they're getting this people in. So how is that cooperative for everybody?
I mean, it's not wrong. Goons tell their members vote for these people, and that's what happens. And goons are always guaranteed to at least get 2 members on there. But that being said, goons don't want to put in members that are going to work against the game either, because the game needs to be healthy for their group to be healthy.
Right.
Which is sort of, what I would say to anyone voting is you really need to vote for people that, know what they're doing, and they're not just going to shit all over the developers or fanboy, because that's not productive.
Well, yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I've told people to not necessarily like vote too, but also vote for who you believe will do a good job. Like it's like in the real world. Like you might have inklings towards a particular political, style or candidate or a party, but ultimately you want somebody who's going to lead your government well, right? No matter who that is.
Yeah, I think the common misconception too is like goons vote in, 2 or 3 people, and this other null block votes in 2 or 3 people. Then you've only got null candidates. It's not really true, because a lot of the people that run have a lot of experience. They might be living in nullsec now, but you look at someone like a Nominate, who is one of the goon candidates and has been on the CSM 2 years now. He runs all the internal, he helps run all the internal services for Goonswarm. So he knows a lot about that. You've got people that used to lead low-sec alliances before they were ever in nullsec. I used to be in wormholes in high-sec because, wardecking in high-sec was fun. Everyone's got a lot more experience than just where they're living at the moment.
This is very true.
Well,
but it seems like...
Go ahead.
It just seems like the voter base tends to look at where you are now and just assume that that's all you know.
I think it's more down to it's a lot easier to say, I don't like that person because they live in nullsec, rather than saying, I don't like this person because I don't agree with this or that they say.
Well, it's easy to not like low-sec because it's just garbage people there. I mean, for sure.
Well, low-sec needs a lot of love, but, this is yet another issue with voting people into the CSM, is that if you vote in a wormholer and CCP doesn't plan to touch wormholes for the next 12 months, which means they won't because, they're a corporate business and they work on a time schedule.
Just as a reminder,
you're just going to sit on your thumb.
Just a reminder, the Mindclash podcast does not endorse nor condone wormholes as an answer to any problem, as they do not exist.
Oh,
it's funny. We were just talking about... we were just talking about wormholes. I was in a talking station somewhere this morning on we're talking about wormholes. I totally feel like I get that CCP never really intended for people to make that their permanent home, but the fact that, I mean, wormholes got no love from the development
Uh,
point of view. I'm like,
yeah, that was Hilmar. Hilmar had an article, or there's an article about Hilmar talking about how he was playing around in wormhole spaces and how he found it interesting that that wasn't intended to be a thing, but it is a thing. So let's keep making that a thing, I
I think
guess.
they forget how organic the
Oh
game is. They're
yeah,
like, game, but like they don't realize that like a ripple in a pond ripples. But the game, like no matter what you planned, it doesn't just mean your gardens are going to grow that way.
it's almost like CCP was like, hey, by the way, you can't do this, and Eve Player was like, bet,
Yeah, we can.
watch me.
Challenge accepted.
If you tell the Eve players you can't do that, they will go out of their way just to prove you wrong.
Well, I mean, if they didn't make Abyssal Space where it closed and killed you in 20 minutes,
There would
people
be
would
people
live.
living there.
It's how it would work.
They'd find a way.
Well, there was a big discussion that we had at the last summit, and we thought we'd narrowed down every abusable thing that we could think of with Abyssal Dead Space, and yet we missed the fact that small faction
boss.
towers can be anchored before
Yeah.
the before the Abyssal Dead Space needs to be exited, so you can exit straight into a POS.
Yep. Oh, that was glorious.
Oh, and somebody said too, you could just plant yourself by a tower and it'll kill all the rogue drones. Like, is that a thing?
No.
No, it's got to be a certain amount of meters away from a structure.
Okay.
But if you've got like an alt, you can open the filament and then start anchoring the small faction tower, and it'll finish anchoring before you come out, and so you're safe because you've got the bubble.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah, it takes you 15 minutes to run the site, well, typically, and takes 12 minutes to anchor and online a small faction POS. So, oops.
Fucking bosses.
That'll be fixed next patch. POS can't be anchored anywhere near a filament. That'll be the fix next patch.
You're not taking advantage of an exploit until somebody catches you taking advantage of it. So,
Well, the typical rule within CCP is if you don't have to touch POS code, don't touch it. So I imagine that this is not going to be fixed. They're just going to wait until they remove POSes.
I could see that.
it's funny about code. I mean, it's not entirely related. Somebody was discussing. Go ahead.
I think if you're going to go to all the trouble to have a second alt there with the little small POS and you go through all the fueling it with fuel, I have no problem with you coming out into a POS. If you're going to go through all that stuff, it's fine with me.
If anybody here is into coding, like somebody had asked me, because we were talking about how, because I was complaining about the font, and they're like, "Why isn't that changed?" But I said, "Well, because it's in Python." And they said, "Well, and we are talking about how it was programmed, specifically not like in C++ or whatever. The fact that it was done in Python, I'm like, if another MMO is so big and had grown for so long in something like C++, it's just one big chunk of code, it would have collapsed upon its own weight. Now, I think, despite the things that we hate about the way it's programmed in spaghetti code and stuff, the fact that it was done compartmentally and in something like Python is the reason why it hasn't imploded on itself.
Yeah, the biggest issue with it for expandability is that it's in stackless Python, which is incredibly limiting.
Do you think CCP had intended for, or like had expected it to survive this long?
Nope. The original thing was that it would last a few years and they'd like do Eve 2, and it just sort of kept trucking on, and it just keeps trucking on. So
I give it another 5 years at least.
Yeah, I mean, users playing MMOs is declining, but I mean, the veteran, salty, bitter vet among us will, we'll still be here in 5 years. So.
But it's not just an MMO. I feel like it. I mean, it is an MMO, but it's so different. I mean, it's so. I've tried to even find videos or explain the game to anybody, and I'm like, look, you just have to try it. I can't, like, that's how I got into it. Somebody's like, oh, when I first met them at a party, and they're like, oh, you know what? I have something that you might like. I can't really explain it. You should just try it. I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, it's a game, but not really. Just do it. And that's exactly it. Like, I've never ever heard a way to explain it, and I guess it's an MMO, but it's not really. Even something entirely different.
Eve is that healthy cross section between joining a cult and changing your lifestyle completely.
Well, yeah, it's living science fiction that you like are in, and it's.
I
It's a
mean,
win.
it's a pretty safe bet that if CCP comes out with an Abyss-like site, which is just Eve Battlegrounds, we'll be good for another 5 years.
God help us all.
Like a player the judges underground battleground or something.
Cage matches, awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Player Eve Unknowns Battlegrounds.
Dope.
Hmm.
But anyways, so is that what you were trying to get at, Mr. Merdud? Oh shit! I just gave away your secret spy. Oh,
That was the joke. I know. I got good jokes. But yeah, we cover. We covered a bit about how blocks are influential on candidates and who gets elected. But have any of the blocks announced their cards?
Oh,
The
good
Imperium
question.
has announced those.
And what are they? Or is that a secret? Is that a secret?
I imagine it's going to end up somewhere soon. So
No,
I
it's
guess
out. It's out already.
It was on Reddit last I looked.
It's actually also the INN ballot, the group that came out with the. Sorry, I'm just kind of getting in the swing of things here. It's
Yep, I found
INN
it.
posted a ballot which is identical to the Imperium ballot, based on the editor's staff
Okay.
review of the candidates.
Okay, so it looks like INN/Goon block is Aerith Merkelchin, and nominate the judge, Brisker Ball, moderator, Solon Decimus, Commander A's, Jin Tan, and Steve Vernukin. Commander A's, congratulations for getting on that list. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, I try.
Above Jin Tan, of all people.
It is important to note that at that point in the list, it is highly ceremonial, more than
better than not being there at all.
Yeah.
Correct.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Is this innominate indicating he'd take it or leave it a third term or another term?
It's pretty accurate, yeah.
Do you think it's fair that people get like every term? I imagine if they do, that's fine, but shouldn't there be restrictions on that? Just like in the.
I don't know. I think if you're a good CSM, you're a good CSM. Doesn't matter how many times you run.
Good call.
I mean,
Steve Vernukin is a really good CSM, and he's been there longer than anyone.
I mean,
So I've got a question on that. So let's say Steve didn't make it on, just hypothetical. Would CCP still reach out to Steve to talk to him because he's as much of a subject matter expert as he is?
Definitely,
Likely,
but
yeah.
it would be more in it would be less of a professional manner, and it wouldn't be anything NDA.
But that's just common sense. If you have good, viable resources available to you, you're retarded if you don't take advantage of them.
Well, and you're talking about Steve here, specifically the fact that he's really good with former API and ESI and stuff. So that team that deals with that, Team TechCo, is very open with the community and is in Slack all the time in DevFleet talking to people. So they're a lot less cut off than other teams. If you were to say someone like Solon Decimus, who was really good on CSM 11, he couldn't really be talked to about stuff the next year because it is all super, super NDA stuff on a closed off team.
Does Legacy or NC, have they released any of their ballots?
See, either I haven't done my due diligence with looking for this stuff, or it's just not as prominent as it was in previous years. In previous years, it seemed to just smack you in the face, but this year, like I said, I don't know if it's me not doing a good job of looking for it, but I just haven't seen it pop out to me.
I looked for about an hour this morning, and
Yeah.
it was really hard to find it. I mean, I'm pretty good at scrubbing for stuff, but it was very hard to come by.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of back and forth about slates and groups. Like, will you put us on yours? And it doesn't seem to appear that there's that much of that going on this year as there has been in the past.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's
But
been a lot of
sometimes the slates are being debated a lot, up to the last minute, and then it goes out.
yeah, and we've seen over the past few weeks and months that there's been a lot of schisms and dissent between alliances and coalitions and corporation backstabbing. So maybe they're more.
I just
worried
hope
about
that doesn't result
It's not.
in
It's
in
not.
lack. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not so much the schisms and that kind of stuff. It's just that name a PL candidate right now.
Mhm.
Name a Brave candidate right now. There's
Yeah.
2 test candidates. That's it. So in the past, there were more of the groups, the major groups, putting candidates in besides goons, and so there was a bit of horse trading that went on. Now, it just seems for whatever reason there's not as much horse trading going on for votes.
I don't mind that, but I just hope that that doesn't result in apathy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see the numbers once they finally come out at the end of the week of how many people voted. That'll probably be a while before we know that one.
The election results itself will be pretty instantaneous, but the numbers, yeah, that might take a little bit. It's not that it's hard information to come by; it's just that it needs to be curated by the right people.
Mm-hmm. So while Merida's trying to find out if anybody else has some official ballots out there, Merida, do you want to go in? We'll start from the top to the bottom, or bottom to the top, see if we can get some last minute pleas and cries for the votes for these gentlemen.
Yeah, sure.
All right, perfect. How do you want to do it? Bottom to top?
Well, I'm not
Sure.
running, so can I start?
Oh, absolutely, Dunk.
All right, let me get my notes out.
Put
All right.
Please
So
do.
first of all, what I want to say, it's very clear that Tybus Heth was framed, and you need to stop accusing him of these crimes. He's innocent.
That's absolutely fact.
Second, Moonor is too big, way too big. Needs to be smaller, needs to be compressed. You're being mean to the indie bros. Third, The Last Jedi had no plot, and anyone who likes that movie is a garbage person. Fourth, the contract system is going to break and shatter under the Abyssal items. The contract system for Abyssal stuff right now is bonkers, crazy, clickfesty terribleness, and people are going to cry. That's my not platform. Thank you.
Appreciate that, sir. All right, so
Well said.
That was garbage.
all right, so the judge, you this would be your third time running, is that correct? Your third time in the
Yeah, it
seat.
would be my third time.
So what should we do to? Why do we want to vote for you for this third time? You crazy ass fucking Aussie.
Well, I'm pretty good at being a CSM, I think. No, seriously, the biggest thing I can say is I'm the only CSM ever in the history of the CSM that has attended every single meeting, both the in-person ones and the remote ones. It's not terribly easy with them being at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning local time. So I think that shows my dedication and the fact that I'm willing to sacrifice to keep doing this. So if that's what you value, then you should vote for me.
Very well said.
Judge, are you seeing the people? Sorry to interrupt. Judge, are you seeing that people don't like that they do this and then they don't show up?
There's definitely been a few people that have done that.
Lame.
Vince. Cough.
Yeah, that's a whole different discussion though. There are people that it's in the middle of the US workday and they can't make every meeting, and they try to.
So you phone work and go, I have a cold.
But there's definitely some people that have not made an effort or not made enough of an effort. But I'm not going to point those people out. I think people can figure that out for themselves.
They know you know who you are.
Shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
All right, so moving along from there, Razorblade.
Yeah, I'm definitely representing Wormhole Space. That's a scary place. You guys don't think it's actually real. Mostly, I just want those bugs to be fixed. Living in Wormhole Space is already, not the easiest part of Eve, and currently there's just game-breaking bugs. You can be just stuck in a hole. Like wormholes are just not appearing. Besides that, I think corp management should be improved, especially the role management. It's just absolutely horrible right now. And LoSec, actually. LoSec. I think if CCP would introduce some way to make better ISDA, then a lot of people will be, more likely to live in there.
But that's a great platform. But what makes you worth voting for as a CSM candidate? What's your pedigree of communication or outreach or?
I mean, I've been playing for a very long time, and I think I can say that I've basically almost done anything in Eve, for everything in Eve that there is, like even to scamming, ganking, like literally everything. I think that's a good basis, a good
Have you
knowledge,
glitched your
genuine
way into
knowledge.
Jove Space?
Not yet.
Wait, is that a thing?
It used to be a thing.
Oh, nicely done.
No, I think it's a good, like I have a general idea how Eve works. And although I do focus on wormhole space, I'm very open to new ideas about the rest of the game, and still very interested in what happens the rest of Eve.
All right, thanks. Craig, why are you running for CSM?
Fuck Craig. Fuck that guy. Top flight scared the world.
Fuck you, Craig.
No, but
All
I
right,
would like
Race.
to thank Craig. He's been doing a very good job of recording these podcasts for me. So thank you, Craig. Vote for Craig.
No, fuck you, Craig.
Hashtag Craig Lives Matter.
Right?
Oh, fuck Craig. Man,
Jesus.
So much anger. Damn that rap music.
Commander Rays, though, thank you for joining us last minute. I had to throw up that, what do we want, 7, 8 photos up there? So, yeah. Oh, Lady Scarlet did tell us she does have a ballot. But yeah, A's, tell us why we should be voting for you for your 6th time running with no success.
So this is actually the fifth, and so I think that in itself says a lot. This is my fifth time running, and if it's my fifth unsuccessful, there will be a sixth. So yes, that is my campaign announcement for CSM 14 as well. Simply put, I've had one of the largest media presences of any CSM candidate in the last 5 years, especially if you consider it cumulatively. As my campaign has never actually ended, and I've maintained a presence both here on Mindclash, Talking in Stations, Open Comms, and a plethora of other different places. And I think that says a pretty sizable amount about my interaction with the community and ability to work with people.
Yeah.
Some notable things about kind of what I've done in Eve. I've lived in HiSec, lived in LowSec, lived in NullSec, lived in low-class wormhole space. I won't pretend to know anything about anything above a C2. And if you don't ask me anything about more than a C2, then we'll be good, because I don't know anything that goes on up there. It's craziness. But I've done a little bit of everything. I've been an incursion FC. I was one of the FCs that triggered HiSec. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the word.
Drifters.
During What Drifters, we actually triggered time dilation, running incursion sites in HiSec, and officially breaking income in Eve, where HiSec had a short stint where it was about twice as profitable as living in Null. And then it was very quickly patched because we were running it in such a broken way. Although CCP admitted that the sites were broken, and thus it was fair that we were running them in a broken way. So anyways, continuing on, I've also been a Spectre Fleet FC for quite a while. I think they finally pulled my roles because I haven't run a fleet in a little while. I've been a Corp CEO, so I can back what's already been said on the Corp management and roles that definitely need a look at. Access lists were a big start, but I'm really hoping to see that develop over time. And I've really kind of just done a bunch of different things. In terms of what separates me from everybody else, I think it comes down to real world experience. So my real world job is an intergovernmental liaison between agencies dealing with disaster response and recovery. I'm able to take, for instance, this last fall, 40 some federal agencies responding to one of the world's worst hurricane seasons in history, including multiple Category 5 landfalls, and make it a success. So, if I can get the communication that's necessary to get all of those agencies on the same page, working towards the same goals and objectives, I think it would be within my wheelhouse to be able to talk about a game that I'm highly passionate about and get some people on board. Not necessarily with specific change, because my campaign's not really about specific changes. It's more about looking at Eve, how can we make it better? How can we look at the statistics that we have and reduce kind of the friction points, get rid of the, chop off some of the little things that we can do quick, and really kind of promote a healthier Eve. So that's what I got. Vote for CSM, even if it's not for me.
I would like to clarify that, yes, indeed, what Commander A's is saying that he made those hurricanes absolutely great. No, but he's saying he made the outcome of them be successful.
Yes.
He did not make great hurricanes. I think that'd be very hard to do. But if you did, congratulations, and I appreciate that. You should teach us how to do that in the military. Who's next? Claven. I will say that I was a little mad at you, Claven, that you didn't want to come on our show and talk with us, but I will forgive you because you are here now. Fucking a-hole.
Yeah, it's not so much the not wanting to come on your show as things are super hectic right now and in real life for me.
I get it, man.
Yeah, but okay, so it's totally that I just didn't want to be on your show. I can't lie about that. I'm just joking, Kale. So my name is Clavian. I've been around for a while. I started playing Eve New Year's 2007. I've done the normal on and off, back and forth, quit Eve and pretend like you've won, but you're seriously just thinking about it in the back of your mind for hours on end every day. I've gone through pretty much every aspect of space that I could, starting off as the brand new bro out in high sec, thinking that running missions in a MOA was the best thing I'd ever done and failing miserably at it. All the way up to leading and being one of the leading members of a decently sized alliance. I've worked through all 3 iterations of SOV out in nullsec, and can find the positives and the negatives of all of them. And since 2013, I've been primarily focused on wormhole dwelling and living in wormholes. I've gone through C5 corps, C4 corps, C6s. I've lived in every single one of them. I've worked in every single one of them. I know quite a bit about the wormhole mechanics and where they're falling apart and where they can be fixed. But there's also quite a bit on my mind right now dealing with how alliances work in the game and how alliances can be changed and how they need to be changed just to make them more of a usable system within EVE Online and not just a placeholder for an extra name or an extra flag. When it comes to me individually as a good CSM candidate, I'm one of those guys that can get out there and I can communicate. I'm cross-functional. One of the key jobs that I've got right now is making sure that the information that needs to be found out is found out. I can find the right people that know it. If I have no idea what's going on, I will. There's always somebody out there that knows, and that person will be found. And that's just how I work. When I commit to doing something, I commit to it. So that's how the CSM is for me. I've committed to running this campaign. I've committed to being on the CSM. Sure, life is busy, but I'm still here. I'm still doing it. And that's what you can expect from me going forward.
Very nice. And up next is Carbon Alabo.
Yep, just Carbon is fine.
Okay. Why should we vote for you, my man?
Well, my main activities in Eve is third-party development, but I'm also, and that's what I'm the most focused about, but there's also what I consider to be alternative play styles. And I think that's not very well represented today. Like, what if you want to stop playing Eve for like 3 months? And how will the game mechanics support you coming back into the game after those 3 months? Will it be friendly for you? Will it be, will the mechanics be supportive for you, or will they punish you for it?
I'm sorry. I was just admiring the fact that it looks like Murdad received a pedicure lately. Is that true? Looked a little
No, I
glossy.
definitely have some.
Manny Petty, good on you.
Looked a little
fishing
glossy.
this
Oh, it's fish guts then.
Yeah, it's fish guts and some crab guts.
Oh, he's got the ick.
So Carbon, you said you do some third-party app development. What have you developed so far, if anything, or are you just doing like personal stuff?
Yeah, I'm also doing personal stuff. You might find a couple of smaller ads that are publicly available. But yeah, nothing on the scale of Ezekiel board or the stuff that Steve does.
Okay. And then Jaha, I know we had you on for a little mini episode, and you said your spiel, but what for those that might not have listened, why should we get your vote, Mr. E Uni?
Well, I have no illusions about getting on. I mean, I made a I guess strategic decision. Like Jaha's a new character, but I've been playing since 2006 on my other one. But my uni character gets a position where I get to hear from people, like new people and old people. Like I've got such I think a unique perspective on things. My job in the uni is literally to facilitate communications and conflicts in people. I really feel like there's concerns that that there's special interest in the CSM, and I think that I have the ability to relay information between people in a way that they both find agreeable and to cat herd, as you put it. Um, and unfortunately, because of Eve Uni's staunch desire to be 100% neutrality, I was muzzled, censured. I was forbidden from using any of our forums or chats to even speak of the CSM, because we felt that just because they didn't know anything about CSM, that I would be the only person that they would know, so that would be somehow manipulating our group for a vote. So whether I agree with that or not, it's neither here nor there. So as Jaha had, nobody else. That being said, going forward, I mean, it's commitment. I have commitment to the game because of ability for free time in real life now. I mean, over the last 9 months, with the exception of the most recent, I've been playing like 40 to 50 hours a week. I've been everywhere in the game. I have a really big interest in it. Beyond it just being fun, I mean, I have relationships in the game that I've made that I'll have the rest of my life. It's such a unique and special thing. I I also really adamantly believe that players need to be there needs to be, and if any of the candidates go in and I'm not there, please feel that I want to impress upon people that there needs to be a way to move that large new HiSec and new bro player base out into Sovnal. People went out into Sov when it was there to be conquered, but now they're just rotting out there and getting all salty with dust. But I want the new blood to get out there. I want people to remember where they came from, that the game is whole, not to have that vacant low set garbage in the middle. There needs to be a way to integrate all those players. And I'll just end by saying I had an experience with somebody once where I was flying around just to move some things into Dodixie to sell, and he messaged me and goes, "Oh, do you need a ship?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Well, because I see you're flying around in a pod, and I've been playing for a little while, and I just got my first industrial ship, and so you can have the ship that the game gave me." I'm like, "Dude, you're amazing." I gave him like 500 million ISK and like 40 industrial ships and everything, because those players are the reason that the game's awesome. Like, there's people so great. I mean, people don't do that in Call of Duty or whatever you're playing. I
No.
can't impress upon people how many remarkable people that I have met in the game that just blows me away, and both in person and otherwise, and that I am pleased and privileged to know. And we have such a brilliant community of those people. Like nowhere else in any form, real life or otherwise, have I been able to interact with people that I genuinely care about. And I think I don't sound all like warm and fuzzy, because I like blowing up people just as much as the next person, but I have a vested interest in the game, and I want to promote people that have the same vested interest. Eve's not dying, and that's a ridiculous thing to say.
No.
So you know, there's brilliant people there, and I want the older players to remember where they came from and the people that have helped them get there and play it forward. So if I can't get on, I mean, everybody vote for sure and vote for you. Think we'll do a good job, but we have a great community, and I have such a desire to see it continue and develop and grow. So.
Yeah, it's a simple fact, as a lot of people are pointing out in game. As much as we'd like to believe it or not believe it, Eve has been dying for the past 15 years, and we wish her the best of luck. But we really do wish you all the best of luck. I mean, we've had many of you on the show before. We've talked to you offline. We've interacted with you, played with you in game. So we do wish you all the best of luck in this election. So if you haven't already done so, today open the voting session. You need to go ahead and log into Eve Online right now. Go ahead and vote. If you have not done so, you have a week to do this. Merida, have you voted?
Oh, sorry, can I interrupt you? Wildstar, whoever just
Absolutely.
posted that, I still remember the guys helped me out when I was Brandner, the new one, playing. If anybody had interacted with a character named Bran Kadar, that just had reminded me, this is somebody who, even though she became physically ill and had difficulty playing, still tried to help people. I mean, that's a good example of the kind of people in the game.
Yeah, this is a crazy game. I mean, you see that all the time. We have, you know, our players get together and do streams for charity, and you know, raise tens of thousands of dollars for different charities.
I played well blind for 6 months.
Wow, yeah, it's very unique. You know, this community that we have.
I got some hard questions before I choose who I'm going to vote for here.
Oh, also, let's put out Lady Scarlet. You want to put her votes out, or the NC votes?
Yep. Lady Scarlet, thanks for sharing with us the NC dot ballot. It's just 3 people. We got Killer Bee as their first pick, Malachi as their second, and Sword Dragon as their third.
That's interesting. It's really interesting that they would go with not only just 3, but those 3 in particular. It seems.
It's really interesting that they've got Killer Bee as number 1, considering he's
Yeah.
taken a big step back from Eve.
Yeah. But I did put Killer Bee as one of my picks. In fact, I think he was number 2. And remember, I'm so ignorant that I couldn't remember why I should put them in the number that I did. So Killer Bee, I mean, you got number 2 from me, baby. So you might have it.
Well, first I wanted to know among our CSM candidates here, who has the most Liquidisc?
I'm not telling. I have it in the secret Swiss bank account.
Judge, clearly.
I'm not going to say anything on this one.
Okay, some deflections. Most solo PvP kills.
You know, kill boys
Totally
don't
not
matter.
me.
I'll solo kill you if you want to meet me in space somewhere.
You guys are not buying my vote here right yet. Largest boss now.
Does a Titan count?
Yes.
Plenty.
Yeah,
20
we're looking
bill.
at like 5 bill for me. The most I lose is Marauders.
Oh, me too. God damn it.
I was hoping for someone with an amazing solo kill record. Anyway,
42 solo kills? Yeah, no.
I'm a team player. My kills are all group kills.
I did Bomber's Bar for too long for me to have a good solo kill ratio.
Those are quitter attitudes. Come on, guys. You got to push those numbers up.
How many kills in a single day?
What if you're a Logi pilot? You're not going to have kills. What if you're a Logi bro? Deserve some love.
Well,
Logi,
I lost
Logi on kill mails. It's coming.
Soon, TM.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I actually lost a Paladin on a party bus in Vegas. It was
Did you say on a
Paladin.
party bus?
Oh, yeah.
You're my new hero.
All right, you've got vote number 1.
I drank 2 bottles of Jägermeister, and apparently I lost Paladin in my mind.
I have a question. Who has the most kill marks on a ship still in existence in this group?
35.
1. My ships all die.
I have a
purposely stopped
bomber.
mine at 69 because I thought it was a good meme.
Kill marks basically makes
That
your ship
is.
unusable because you don't want to undock it anymore.
I've got a bomber with 35 kill marks on it from a single bombing session.
It's substantial.
Awesome. All right, Kale. Who are you putting down on your ballot, or have you already voted?
Let me see if I can pull up my votey thingy.
I want to throw it out there. I like TikTok Toxic. He's not on here, but I feel bad for him because I listened to some game review online about how he got screwed over, and I felt bad. So I'm like, he gets my vote for sympathy. And I love the Adrenaline Junkies.
All right, so I do have my 10. And like I said, no particular order. I have Brisk Rubal. I really like his video. I really like who he.
Particular order is what matters. You gotta
I
get put in particular
I
order.
know, but I didn't do it. I'm so silly. So I've got Brisk Rubal. I really liked
Well,
his
then
video.
you haven't done it yet. Come on.
But I did. No, I did do it. Oh, should I look on?
It's
Will it
like
still
not
say it?
loading ammo. You have to put it in order. The order is
Okay.
what matters.
Well, then this is the order that I put it in because it's the order that I wrote it down on my list. So
You still you still don't get the voting system. The
No.
order is everything. The order you vote of number 1 is like it's important.
Okay, so in a particular order of my choosing, Brisk Rubal, Setonia, Moderator, Commander A's, Lorelei Arende, Jaha Pernair, Killaby, Kalen Saro, Winter Dufallen, and Otto Bismarck, if I were to pick 10.
All right, I have an organized line because I'm an organized person. I'm number 10. I'm going to vote for Brosip from my alliance, Special Pinecone. Brisk, thanks for coming out for this first round. I hope you get in, but good to see you next year. Clavian, you should definitely talk about that space that somebody lives in. Shout out to Creature. He knows a lot about that cap meta. Silver, definitely enjoy him. He's another one of those small alliance kind of PvP focused guys. First time running again, so he didn't make it too high up my list. Commander Ace, I really like some of the things you have been talking about for a while, and I really hope you get in. Sullen in number 4, because he had a lot of good reviews from his time in CSM 11, and I hope to see him into another session. Jintan, from all I've heard, is a great CSM, and he's a very good communicator to the Eve Media style candidate, and that appeals to me. The judge, you've impressed me on your attendance, and I'm all down for someone who's diligently attending and putting themselves out there despite the time zone difference. And my number 1 candidate for this election, another newbie to the race, but someone who I know is very talented and has a unique portion of the game that desires a lot of attention, and I think could actually get changed through a single CSM cycle, and that's Bay Art J. That's my 10.
Beautiful.
I'll put up mine. I put pretty much a lot of the same ones, but I haven't finished. It's actually literally open right now because I'm still reviewing them. But like I mentioned, I put up TikTok because I think he's an interesting player and very excitable moderator. The judge, because I mean, really, he's such a great resource. I think that it would be remiss not to have him in there. Commander A's for sure, because we chatted just a little bit online or just listening to, as I like the notion of a player that's experienced everything. I think that's highly important. Setonia for sure, and I have 4 spots open yet that I haven't filled.
You know what I think is interesting about my list, and I kind of did this on purpose, is that I didn't want to have anybody who has already been in the CSM. I thought a fresh face would be the best bet for the next CSM. I think that's just my opinion, so that's why I have all these fresh candidates in here.
The judge is such a pretty face.
Ah,
And nothing to anyone else who didn't make it on my list. I appreciate you guys all running, and I hope that you still stay engaged as a candidate, as a former candidate,
absolutely.
because it is very easy to stay in good communication with the CSM members who make it on. There are a lot of good communicators on the CSM in previous years, and I'm sure there will be in this year.
Sure.
As well as-
Meredith is primary.
Oh, goddamn. And of course, like, just reach out to the devs. They want to hear from us. They were looking for well-reasoned arguments. So, unless I can vote for Dunk, and then
I mean, who knows? Maybe you can.
throw him under that bus.
All right. Is that good, Meredith? Have we wrapped up this chicken? We've almost gone 2 hours. It's
Holy shit.
impressive. I know it's impressive, right?
It's solid. It's solid.
Yeah, I don't even know whether or not if my children were behind the green screen. I don't even know if they're still there. They might be passed out. They only want to
Haven't
be
you
in there
trained
with
them yet
you.
to do mining for you?
I wish. I can barely potty train the little one.
Got to start young.
I know, right? But yeah, what do we have? We have Eve meets. Eve meets are happening, are they not? I will
There
go
are
over
Eve
them.
meets,
Yeah,
places in space.
so if you
No,
go to
in real life.
Yep, if you go to evemeet.net, you'll see that coming up this weekend, 8th of June at 2100 is the MPX meetup, and this is in Roseville. What's MN? Minnesota? Is MN Minnesota?
Is it Manitoba?
And it's definitely not Manitoba, but I think it's Minnesota. But anyways, if you know what state M is, oh, far from Pukin. So yeah, that's Minnesota. Interesting. Far from Pukin, from Podside Podcast. And then the following weekend is Eve Paris 2018. That's the 16th of June in La de France in something, I don't know. Check it out on evemeet.net.
You know, Kale, I have to say, if anybody who's never had people that they've blown up or had conflicts with in space in person, it's amazing. Like, you have a beer and it's unreal. Like, or even just in general meeting, like Eve Uni has decals for your car, and in Vegas, like not even at a fan fest thing, I saw somebody 2 lanes over with an Eve University decal on the back of his car. I almost jumped out of mine in the middle of traffic. It's amazing to meet the people you fly with in real life.
Yeah, so fun story. I may have shared this before, but I actually had a coworker who parked next to me, in the military, and I saw he had a goon sticker on his back when it was a fat bee, and I looked at
So
him
you
like,
slashed his tires?
no, yeah, like first thing I thought was like, number one, I don't like this guy to begin with, and number two, he's a goon, so automatically, but yeah, so I mean, it did strike up conversation, and we were able to talk about something other than work, so Yeah, if you've not been to an Eve meet, I recommend you going out there and meeting some people who are like-minded.
For sure.
Yep. So yeah, it's coming up. We'll throw out some more as they go along, but check out evemeet.net for more information, and you can start your own. Start your own Eve meet. Fuck it.
And if you seriously haven't done it yet, follow me and Kale on Twitter at bear._Eve and at Kale Decadence. We also have a Twitch. The Mind Clash Live on Twitter, so you can follow us there. We'll broadcast out when we're going live. If you can't seriously figure it out,
Oh, you're in trouble.
I know. And before I get attacked by my pregnant wife, yeah, you can check us out on twitch.tv/Mind Clash Live every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Or come hang out with us in the Discord. We've had a lot of new people join the Discord this week. There's a good discussion going on right now.
It's been very busy. Yeah,
So,
yep, so from Meredith, myself, Jaha, Pernair, Carbon, Claven, Commander A's, Dunk, Dinkle, Razorblades, the Judge, and last but not least, certainly we cannot forget Craig, the myth, the man, the legend, who is recording us live. Thank you for listening / watching the Mind Clash podcast, and we will catch you next week.
Fuck you, Craig.
Peace out.
Jesus,
See ya.
jeez, keep this at least PG-14 or something. TV-14.
Suck a dick, Craig.
Fucking animal.
Poor Craig.
And the credits are rolling, moderators, Moobot, and we still didn't have... I know we had somebody follow us.
Merida, do you have fish as pets as well?
Yeah, man.
Oh my god, I have like 2 200-gallon fish tanks.
What?
Oh yeah.
Fresh or salt?